Our last requested review comes from Arthur, and like the last review, I was given one of two choices. The first was a manga series called Beastars, which is about to receive its own anime adaptation soon, though due to the timing of that, and not being able to get scans of the manga safely, I thought of looking at the second option, which was a specific story arc from Slayers, whose OVA, Book of Spells, I reviewed a while ago. Turns out, the arc in question, which has the requirements for a request in that it must have some kind of animal theme, or directly involve them, was the entirety of Slayer's Try. However, with what's going on right now, I think I'll only cover half now, but do the rest after October's reviews. Otherwise, it's time for more Slayers. Now, seeing as this is the third season, somewhat, I actually had to go and look through the first two seasons rather quickly to see what might be necessary for this one. I of course have the fan wiki to help just in case, but just to summarize really quickly, Season 1 properly introduced us to the main heroine, Lena Inverse, as the perky, fearless wizard who can defeat whole gangs of bandits easily, who meets the world's blondest swordsman, Gauri, who accompanies her on many adventures. They meet various other characters, some of whom join them, and ultimately, after all the hijinks and escapades, they defeat Dio, the clone of Rezo the Red Priest, before he can gain the power to surpass his original self. Season 2, or Slayers Next, continues the adventures of Lena and her friends as they search for a book called the Clare Bible, as it has ties to the demon lord Shabanigdo. It takes several dramatic turns and Lena almost losing herself entirely, but by the end things get resolved through the power of 90s romance. And comedy. Never without comedy. Thus we come to where Try comes in. Because Lena destroyed the evil Lord Fabrizzo, something is about to happen, and now it's time we get in on that. You see, a barrier that has been in place for about 1,000 years has been broken, meaning the monster race that exists outside it have a chance of coming through and invading their world.
外の世界に向けて平和使節団を派遣することにした。ついては諸国の王族方にも協力を願いたい。
では今回の計画について父に代わり私アメリア・ウィル・テスラ・セイルーンがご説明いたします。ちょっとガーリー、それ私が取っといたお刺身でしょ。何言ってんだみんな、これも早く食わないと悪くなっちまう。
Yes, they're the perfect ones to go on this important delegation. Well, they haven't been picked. They're just here to see the boats go to the outer world, which Lena explains to Gauri since he's an idiot. Zelgadis even shows up because he's hoping that somewhere out there is a cure to his current body. But they'll likely all be going, as earlier Lena received a letter from someone named Philia, saying they have a high-paying job for her, and sure enough, here's Philia herself to explain her cause.
俺たちのことは調査済みってわけか。
ええ、皆さんがヘルマスターフィブリゾを滅ぼしたってことぐらいまでは。なるほどね。で、そこまで知った上で私たちに何の依頼なの？それは皆さんのお力を確かめさせてもらってからお話しします。
俺たちの力を？
どういうこと？ですから。
Oh, that Gauri peeking up skirts. Though it makes sense that his dub actor is Eric Stewart. And yeah, it doesn't look like the entire dub is available for me to grab like the subbed version is. So this is what I got to work with. So Philia has some sort of secret. A secret that she is able to hide after Gauri tells his friends about it. But otherwise, she wishes to test their power, and she does this by turning into a dragon.
もんだと。なぜこのような時に。
やはりあのドラゴンの狙いは俺たちか。
Well, guess this means Lena and group get to go along after all. And what follows is a really cool action scene of them fighting off their foe.
¡Ay, ay, ay! 黄昏よりも暗きも血の流れよりはかきも時の流れに生まれし偉大なる汝の名において我ここに闇に誓わん。我らが前に立ちふさがりし全ての愚かなる者に我と汝が力もて等しく滅びを与えることを。ドラグ
Good thing Philia knows instant transmission. And just as the first episodes for the other seasons go, Lena's Dragon Slave attack ends up wiping out and destroying a bunch of stuff. Meaning there's only one thing to do. Well, adventure awaits them at least. If they can survive starvation, or the birds. They seem hungry for flesh. Meanwhile, we have what looks to be the big bad for this season, ordering his horde of beastmen, I guess, to retrieve the Sword of Light, which is Gaori's most powerful weapon, and we see the beastmen invade this nearby city, though they don't appear to be in the killing mood.
いいから、それらしいもん根こそぎかさらってくれいいんだよ。了解でさ。ついでにお宝もたんまり取れ。了解でさ。ぐずぐずするな。愛想のもんは片っ端からかっさらってくるんだ。
But they're about to have a rude awakening, as after spotting land, Lena uses her magic to blow their ship straight onto land and literally plows into the city. Man, I love the humor of this show. Well, they found the sword they're looking for. They just need to get it somehow. But to the surprise of no one, the Beastmen are completely and totally outmatched. After that, the group gets rewarded with food, and soon the golden dragon from before returns, and they learn firsthand that it was Philia the whole time. She reveals herself as a priestess to the Fire Dragon King, and she tells them about how they are needed to stop the destruction of the world, as according to a prophecy. Also, we learn the name of Gaori's Sword of Light from the Beastmen from earlier.
光の剣、ゴルンノバがなぜあんなところに。驚きっすね。やはりあれも我らが主バルガーブ様の探し求めておられる武器の一つだ。
Goron Nova is the name of a lost ship from another Hajime Kanzaka series, Lost Universe. While there, it was one of the 5 subordinates of Dark Star. Here, it's one of 5 weapons of light, also tied to Dark Star. And it seems their boss, Balgov, is trying to collect them for some reason. I don't know enough about Lost Universe to say if the connection is direct or loose, though they still make the references to them. In any case, with how the prophecy is worded, Philia thinks a human like Lena is needed to stop the darkness from consuming the world.
なんだのって寝言はさておいて、人間代表ってのは悪い気分じゃないわね。いえ、代表じゃなく補欠です。
Roasted!
引き受けてはくれませんか？当たり前でしょ。そんなの元の候補とやらにやらせればいいでしょ。まあ、リナさんはそういう反応をするだろうと言われまして、その候補の方からこれを。 皆さん、候補の方のアルバイトってもしかしてウエトレスの。はい。
リナ？
リナさん、リナさ
ん。リナ！
Well, that's one way to say no. Yeah, Philia's first choice was her sister Luna. But don't worry, she's not even in this season. She only shows up in the opening song, see? So that's the gist for the season so far. Lena has to prevent the world from being destroyed, yet again, and Valgov, who is a loyal servant to Demon Dragon King Gov, who Lena defeated last season, is trying to get all the legendary weapons together. Should provide hours of fun, don't you think? Well, before our heroes can leave the city they're in, they spend part of it doing some odd jobs, which gets Princess Amelia to be seen as like an angel to the townsfolk, and Zelgadis to be some kind of demon. Also, Philia is able to sense evil from somewhere, and that someone is Zelos, who is, by all accounts, a troll. So while the two main beastmen for this season, Gravel and Jealous, raid this Jawa village for one of the legendary weapons, supposedly, Valgov decides to confront Lena's group directly and makes his intentions clear.
マリオガーブの
ご名答。俺の名はバルガーブ。ガーブ様に仕えし誇り高き魔族の一人よ。
なんだって今さらそんなやつが。
知れたことよ。ガーブ様の無念を晴らすため、リナ・インバース、貴様を殺す。
Get in line, buddy. Plenty of people back home who want to do that for destroying their town. He demonstrates just how powerful he is, considering he's just a servant to somebody else, and not even the Sword of Light can hurt him. Zelos finally joins in, and it seems like together, the group is able to fend him off after all. But before he can unleash his power, a chain reaction from Gravos and Jealous, pulling the sword out occurs, distracting him long enough for Zelos to chase him away. So yeah, turns out Zelos is after Valgov, just as he went after Gov in the past. Since Valgov is being supported by somebody else, and everyone is after them, they might as well group up together. Though Philia isn't happy about this.
馬戦争で竜族と敵対し、たった一人で竜族を壊滅にまで追い込んだというあの悪魔の中の悪魔。
ああ、そんなこともありましたっけ？
リナさんは私が見初めた方です。何のつもりか知らないけど、横入りはやめて！邪魔しないで！
そんな邪魔するなんて。ああ、なるほど。あなたはあなたでリナさんを出しにしようとしていたところ、僕に先を越されて面白くないと。
出しは出しでも私の目的は世界の危機を救うという崇高な出し。魔族なんかの個人的な出しとはわけが違います。
でも出しは出しでしょ？
Just f*** already!
So they come to terms with what needs to be done, and that's to stop Valgov from getting Goran Nova and that one sword that the Jawas had, in case it's one of the legendary weapons. But of course, Valgov uses the magic ward it was in as a trap, so Lena and group would have to fight a sandworm?
The likes of which even God has never seen.
Lena and Gauri fight Valgov, who has a weapon similar to Goran Nova, as it is one of the legendary weapons after all, while Philia and the others get that one sword back and have to return it to seal the monster away. How are they gonna get past the monster, though?
ゼルガディスさん、
心配するな。一気に行くぞ。ボムデュイン！
Well, that'll do it. Now, despite Valgov being warned not to have his weapon clash with Goran Nova, they end up clashing anyway, and it causes some chain reaction. But the real big bad of this arc appears to call him back.
ハルメス。なぜだ。もう一息で奴らにとどめを刺せる。なのになぜだ。
引けと言っている。
散々好き勝手やられて。
このまま逃がすと思うか。
ラティルズ
リナさんたちの魔術を防いだ。
違いますね。防いだのではなく、魔術の作用そのものが奴らにとって無意味なんですよ。
Sounds like we'll be having a seriously dangerous journey ahead.
ダメ、絶対右の道です。
そうですか？僕は左の道の方がおすすめだと思いますけどね。
いいえ。
Or not. Now at this point, their current goal is to get to the Fire Dragon Temple, but we have plenty of time for some character development. Philia first came off as mysterious and somewhat composed, despite a few moments of embarrassment and having a cute dragon form, but then we start to see that she's rather temperamental, leading to a lot of funny scenes. This episode in particular also shows how much prejudice dragons may have, as this town was once destroyed by an evil dragon, and it's hard for her to defend herself when, like Zelos mentioned, dragons love to resort to violence. Either way, she gets taken hostage by Gravos and Jealous, so they can get the Sword of Light later. And this leads to her being more embarrassed this all happened. This leads to some light character development for Jealous, who ends up listening to her woes.
ネチネチいじめるのが趣味みたいなやつで。思い出しただけで腹渡が煮えくり返る。
お前仲間にもいじめられてるかわいそうなやつだけど安心しろ。親分の命令通り人質大事にする。元気出せ。いやー、
触らないでキダブノ。
いよいよおさばきの時間だぜミコさんよ。
They'll probably end up together in the end, somehow. Anyway, she gets put on trial on the grounds of exposing her dragon self, and they'll do it with the ultimate weapon, a tickler.
このドラじゃらしで正体を見せるのだ竜よ。
え？
このうれうれ正体を見せんかどうだこのほれうれ見せんか見せんか見せんかほれうれ。
The series just finds more and more ways to be silly. But after Lena and gang spend their time trying to find her, they come to her rescue. They argue, since they left without paying this one restaurant owner, and despite Lena wanting to use all her magic, she gets taken out by a few bombs. Also, the town is against them at this point, so Zealous decides to remedy the situation by rubbing it in Philia's face.
やれやれ、ゴールドドラゴンといっても所詮この程度ですか。魔族の敵じゃありませんね。あー、つまらない。
うわっ、だって
ドラゴンだ。
ゼロス！待ちなさ
い! How did I miss watching this series? I mean, supposedly it had to have been dubbed in the 2000s, unless I just didn't see it somehow. Well, the good news is, they're free from the town. The bad news is, Philia just destroyed the town. The next episode, they arrive at another town with some sealed ruins. Zelgadis thinks it might have some way to return his body back to normal, so while Philia is asleep, they sneak inside. What they end up uncovering is something that's so extravagant that I never would have imagined it. The whole ruin is a giant magic train! Oh god, it even has an automated speaker inside. So this will take them directly to the temple thereafter. The problem is, this train is powered by magic. Their magic, that is, which is bad since Gravels and Jealous confront them.
魔法もその剣も使えないお前たちなら何も恐れることはねえ。赤子をいきなり潰すとはこのことよ。
本当にそうかしら。
Never mind! There was nothing to be concerned about. Well, okay, they learned that the train is going too fast and it might crash into the temple at this rate, so Lena does what she does best. Break stuff.
お忘れ物のないようにご用意ください。
ああ、やめてください。どれも国宝級の重要文化財なんです。ああ、神殿が近い。多分あれが魔法の力を貯めてんのよ。
よっしゃ
剣届かないんだけど。
Okay, plan B. Trick Gillis into breaking something by making him remember something from his past.
でやる。任せろ。
一気にぶっ飛ばすわよ。黄昏よりも暗きもの、血の流れより赤きもの、時の流れに漏れし偉大なる汝の名において我ここに闇に誓わん。我らが前に立ちふさがりし全ての愚かなる者にも我と汝が力もて等しく滅びを与えんこと。ドラゴンスレイ
Hooray! You destroyed the train! And it only took a few casualties. Soon they're greeted by the Majestic Elder Dragons, who don't appear too upset that part of the temple was destroyed. They even give them a banquet. That's awfully nice. But guess what? They still have to repair the temple they wrecked. Naturally, the elders have doubts on if the group can save the world, according to the prophecy, but Philia seems to have a lot of faith in them, based on her experiences with them and all that.
いかに力があろうとも、たとえ我々ドラゴンでさえもできることではなかったはずです。
それをなす者となさざる者には大きな差があるということか。
それに私が最初に訪ねたセイフィードナイトが言っていました。ご神託にある闇と光とその狭間の力、これはセイフィードの力を宿す自分のことではないと。その上であのリナさんたちを推薦してくださったのです。
闇と光とその狭間、能力以上のことをなす何かか。
Meanwhile, Volgov is getting impatient and wanting to destroy Lena and crew, but Almace is telling him he needs to retrieve the remaining weapons first as part of their deal together. He'll be making a bigger entrance soon, but first, after finishing construction of part of the temple...
いいのかよこれで。
あんまし良くないかも。
Well, they tried anyway. The group is taken to see the Elder, who reveals more about the prophecy and how defeating Gav and Fabrizzo set things into motion.
確実に力を減らされたわけだからな。隙あらば神々の力をそごうと虎視眈々と機会を伺っている。
それゆえに下竜王は愚か、使える我々も力を割くわけにはいかぬのだ。
不毛な睨み合いってわけね。
そこに神託と時を隔てずして現れたあの不吉な光。我らが翼をもってしても届かぬ彼方に神託を裏付ける何かが起きつつある。それゆえに人選には慎重を期したというわけだ。
So in other words, you don't know what to do, so you might as well send somebody else to do the work for you. You know, as you do. Anyway, Almace shows up. Despite this being a sacred place, he shouldn't be able to enter. He apparently comes from the overworld, which might explain his immense power. So we'll be in for quite a fight. But first, we learn what drives Volgov and what he might actually be.
忘れはしない。神々に国する者どもが犯した許し得ぬ大罪を。これが神の側に立つ者のすることだ。
The good thing about this series is, like a lot of others I've seen or read, It knows when to be funny, and then when it's serious, it tends to be interesting and complex. As we see, Valgov wants revenge, not just for killing Gov, who, by the way, found him after the Golden Dragons killed his people, but also he seems to want to take out the Golden Dragons and their gods for the needless massacre. Hence why he's helping Almace get the last weapon and unleash Dark Lord Darkstar. Though he might be in the right, as the head elder is inclined to let Almace summon Darkstar, so long as it's in another world. It's as though these dragons are selfish and only care for themselves so long as it doesn't bring harm to them or their world. And those who disagree get killed. So of course, since Lena refuses to hand over the Sword of Light, he uses magic to freeze everyone, so he can take it anyway. But Valgov shows up, angry that Almace is betraying him, and starts attacking. Between these two and the dragons, it seems Lena and group have everyone as enemies. Though once Zelos returns, the dragons back off. Why?
ゼロスに手を出してはならぬぞ。出したら最後、一瞬にして滅ぼされるのは我らだ。
さすがは年の子。
Just how powerful are you, Troll Priest? Unlike last time, our heroes make better effort in fighting this guy. He can still shrug off some attacks, block Gowry's regular sword attacks, and have a struggle with one of Lena's strongest spells, Ragnablade. But during this time, Valgov gets angry and reveals his dragon powers, which is that of an ancient dragon.
これはエンシェントドラゴン。まさかあの者が。
エンシェントドラゴン、それは一体。
わずか一体で我らが数千に匹敵する力を持ちながら、その忌まわしくも激しい気象ゆえ、我ら竜族から追われ、すでに耐えたはずの一族。
Wow, you guys really are terrible if you had to exterminate them all. Even children. Valgov even calls them out on their lies, but unfortunately, his dragon and monster powers that he got from Gov start overwhelming him and thus has to escape. At the least, the Elder knows now that Lena and friends are as capable as Philia made them out to be. Their next step is to find the remaining weapons before Valgov does, and they think of searching two kingdoms, Alto and Bonton, who are close to each other and have a very unique gimmick. They hate each other so much, they shoot cannonballs at each other on a daily basis. So the group has to split up and look in both locations, with different results for both groups, as they need to find the magic vessels each kingdom has. As for Valgov, we get a deeper connection with Gravos and why he sticks with him, even now. It's because he was betrayed by his own kind and left for dead, only to be taken in by Valgov so he can teach him the meaning of payback. It gives him more of a reason to retrieve the remaining weapons so he can help his leader somehow. And what we get is a pretty awesome battle between Lena's group, Gravos' group, the rulers of Altos and Bonton, all to get the magic vessels from two children from both kingdoms whose parents are constantly fighting the other side. It's good stuff to be sure. Episode 11, and our heroes find a weird-looking mountain that obviously looks like the swirly poop that Japan likes to use for visuals. They're, of course, constantly tricked by Gillis, disguised as some monk that I can't believe they don't see through, forcing them to climb without their magic. Then to get inside this temple, they have to be paired up like it's a couple match system. Oh, this ought to be good.
これが神様が決めたベストマッチング？私はゼルとか。ま、よろしくね。
お手柔らかにな。
俺は青ってことはアメリアと一緒か。
これって絶対何かの間違いです。ガウリーさんはリナさんと一緒じゃなきゃダメです。何言い出すのよ、アメリア。私は別に。却下。こんな組み合わせ認められないわ。
僕もこの組み合わせには同意しかねますね。
Anyhow, with the exception of Zelos and Philia, the others go inside and find themselves in a maze-like situation, with Gowry, of course, getting lost. Gillis reveals this was all a trap to separate Gowry from the rest of them, so they can try stealing his sword. Gillis actually puts up a good fight with how he uses explosives, such as the ones laid around the room, And of course, using a gun that he used during his fight with Zelgadis in the previous episode. Also, this place is on top of a massive stone foundation that could easily tip off the top of the mountain if they aren't careful. This is just messed up. Gowry gets out of his trap and rejoins everyone. So casually at that. And what do you know? He causes enough explosions to cause the whole thing to tip over. What an idiot. And thanks to that, Gillis actually gets the Sword of Light from them, leading to the next episode where they have to get it back. They have quite a chase through various locations, with Gillis giving the slip each time. Though this leads them to Valgov's lair, where all that light power is coming from. Oh, and it turns out Gillis is working for him because his people were slaughtered by humans, and Valgov was the only one to help get him free. It really shows that while most of the beast folk in this series are portrayed as villains, you could see them in a sympathetic light if by chance these ones weren't bothering humans. Too bad he gets lost like the rest of the crew, who are trying so hard to get around to themselves, and he loses the Sword of Light to them. Lena and Gowry, in the meantime, discover Almace in some tube, who starts talking to them about what he was really trying to do. Huh. So the big scary man with terrifying power and defenses was actually trying to do something good. Didn't see that coming. You know what else I didn't see coming? Zelos approaching Valgov for his true intentions.
いやー、実のところ僕ら魔族も人材不足で困っているところなんですよ。今回の戦いの焦点が異界の魔王ダークスターを呼び出すなんて大きな事態になった以上、本来ならもっと上の方々が出てきてもいいはずなんですけど、神々との睨み合いでそれもできないほどですから。ならばいっそのこと、すべてを水に流してあなたを魔族にスカウトしようかと。もちろんそれなりの代償はお払いするということで。
I mean, I should have expected as much, since he is still a monster and most of them are pretty bad. That's the one thing about Zelos that makes him an interesting character. His motives seem to be based on what his people, the higher-ups, want him to do, which can either be beneficial to Lena and group, and he'll be a good helper, or it won't be, and he'll gladly play villain. And with all the power he has, he seems like the last person you want angry. But of course, even with him knowing that the Golden Dragons murdered Valgov's tribe, Valgov knows that the monster race wanted Gov dead for similar reasons. So basically, no one gets the green-haired man.
そうでしょうね。僕も最初から無理な話だと思っていましたよ。命令だったんで一応は提案しましたけどね。僕の受けた命令はもう一つありましてね。あなたが要求を飲まなかった時には何としてでも倒してこいと。今から僕はあなたの敵です。
最初からお前は敵だ。
In any case, the reason Almace wanted to destroy Darkstar is because at one point, his people fought against him and his armies, until he absorbed power from one of their gods and went crazy. Now, Darkstar is going against all life as we know it, hence why he needed the weapons that Darkstar created so he could break up his power by creating several gateways. After some talk about why he didn't just ask for help and whatnot, they agree to help him. Back with Zelos, he brutally beats up Valgov, but is forced to save Philia when she gets targeted. Guess he isn't so bad after all. Eventually, Valgov is able to use his weapon's light power to cut through dimensions and actually damage Zelos for once. Of course, Lena finds out what Zelos was going to do and...
なんです？
おい、怪我人に。
っていうか、そんなもんでいいんですか？ゼロスはリナさんの命をバルガーブとの交渉に使おうとしてたんですよ。
まあゼロスは魔族なんだからそれぐらいするでしょ。私たちはんなもんは承知の上で一緒にいんのよ。
そうなんですか。
その代わり私だってゼロスを便利なアイテム代わりに使わせてもらってるしね。
Makes sense. Either that or he could be the secret love ship in whatever game they put them in. Hey guys, we brought the sword back. Oh, Valgov is angry now. Well, at least the big guy is helping. Oh, he's not much help either. Anyway, Valgov eventually gets the Sword of Light, and it seems they can open up the gateway to summon Darkstar even without the other weapons. It's just a matter of whether or not he can control it now, so they need to hurry and get to him. Jealous is forced to come, even though he's kind of dead weight at this point. To think this is only halfway into the season, and yet it feels like we're at the final boss. So they're teleported to a place where Valgov can open the door to Darkstar. This was apparently where Shabernigdo and the Red Dragon God fought during an ancient war, and thus is considered a forbidden area to everyone. But right now, they have to prevent the gates from opening somehow. Philia tries talking him out of it, but...
言ってくれるな、世間知らずのお嬢さんよ。
顔軸ディスティングライト。
お前に俺は裁けねえよ。血塗られたお前らゴールドドラゴンの手じゃな。
本当に私たちがあなたの一族を死に追いやったと。
もう帰んな、お嬢さん。
Are you saying that out of pity? Well, whatever. It's time for a pretty long but epic battle.
Baby Spring! 逃がすか! ビビる!
However, even after a close-range Dragon Slave attack, he still manages to hold out. He then takes Philia up so he can force her to activate the gateway. A cruel irony that she came here to save the world, only to now destroy it. Oh damn, this is exciting! How is this only halfway into the season?
まず俺を食らうか、哀れな魔王よ。いいだろう。くれてやるさ。
バルガーム様!
Well, Lena decides the only possible way to stop him is with Gigaslave, and considering what happened last time when she used it, it might not end well. But then... What happened? Well, we'll have to find out in part 2, which again, I'll do after October's round of reviews. Still, so far, this arc is pretty exciting. It's like only halfway done, yet I already felt like we've been on some little RPG journey and have to stop the final boss one time, before having to do it again later. I don't know what will happen next, but I hope it has as many laughs and good action as before. So, I'm sorry if it seems like I'm cutting this review short and putting it on hold, but after all this stress, I really need to get caught up on content. Still, next review it's the bonus objective, so I hope you look forward to it, and I'll see you next time.